Good morning. Do you ever have these feelings going on inside you, like there's a bit of an emotional soup or something's not right, this sense of discomfort, and you just don't really know what it's about? You couldn't tell somebody. If they asked you how you feel, you just know that you feel crap and you can't really identify what's going on. I'm Jayne, and this very simple thing I'd like to talk to you about this morning. I had to learn how to feel my feelings. And I know that sounds really bizarre, but I must have been 37 when I really learned how to feel my feelings. I thought that I was an emotional person because I cried all the time. I thought that I understood my feelings, but really I'd just been doing my feelings in my head all of that time. I hadn't really got in touch with what I was really feeling. And I find that so incredible when I understand that, and when I saw that that's how I was operating, I was just like, oh, how on earth was I ever going to feel like I could take charge of my emotional world if I couldn't even feel my feelings? So I want to talk to you about that. First of all, our emotion is there for us. It has a purpose. So one of the things that I used to do was I would feel emotion. It would be very uncomfortable. I'd go into my head. I'd try to figure it out. I'd analyze it. I'd read books. I'd learn things. I'd go to workshops, all to sort of fix it and get rid of it. And I never saw the true purpose of what that emotion was doing for me. It was actually showing me where I had stepped away from myself. It was showing me what I needed to do for myself, for me to come back in and be who I really am in this moment. It was like my guidepost. And yet I never saw it like that. I never saw it as my friend. I never saw my emotions as something that was there to help me. And so what would happen was when I had these particularly really big emotional challenges with my partner, it'd be like a kid chucking a tantrum, like your emotions would just go blah. And it was like, you were totally out of control. And I actually think that that's a little bit like what our emotions are. If we don't give them attention, and if we aren't loving, and if we don't connect to them, they're going to chuck a tantrum. Just like a kid. If any of you have had kids, it's exactly what happens. If they want something, if their needs are not being met, and if they need to feel more loved and connectedness and support, a child will just roll on the floor, scream its head off, throw shit around, just like our emotions. So can I suggest that getting in touch with what you're feeling, practicing, understanding what's really going on and why it's there for you, will actually help you reduce the incidence of those emotional tantrums. It will help you feel clear. When you feel an emotion, you'll be able to feel empowered, so you know what to do next, or at least you know how to figure out what to do next. So it's incredibly beneficial. It's incredibly empowering. And it frees up a lot of energy, because in holding on to an emotion or in resisting an emotion, that creates a lot of effort. We have to put a lot of energy into that. Whereas when you just let things flow and you're at ease with what's happening, there's none of that resistance. There's no need to hold on. And so all of that energy we're putting into holding those emotions in place, we've got that now to use in our lives. We've got that to increase our creativity, to increase the engagement that we have with our life experience. So how do you do it? How do you get in touch with your emotions? One of the things I found was that I immediately, when I felt something, went into my head. Now, it's a feeling, right? You can't do your feelings in your head because these are thinkings, not feelings. Feelings are in your body. So one of the first things I learned to do was I'm having a feeling. I just sat with a feeling. Here it is. Here's an opportunity. I continually convinced myself until I accepted it that this was an opportunity for me. And so I would sit with the feeling and I would look at it. What happens to me now, after years of just being very comfortable with my emotional world, is that at times when I feel a feeling and I sit in it and I look at it, I actually can observe how it looks energetically now, which is, it sort of surprises me. So sometimes I can feel it like a block. Like it's almost like it sort of on the inside feels like a block. And so I'll look at it and I'll accept it and I'll love it. And then I start to understand its purpose. In the beginning, I just sat with it and I just allowed it. One of the other things that was incredibly beneficial was sharing how I felt. But find somebody that's not going to go, oh, you poor thing, that sucks. Like stepping into, I'm a victim of this emotion doesn't help you to feel empowered over that emotion. So I'm not saying that we don't have circumstances that happen that are unfair and unjust, because that absolutely does happen. But what I'm saying is our emotions, the way we respond, we can feel a lot more empowered over that. So you'd like a friend that can sit there and just hear you. Remind them that they don't have to fix you. In fact, you don't want them to fix you, because that is an unhealthy dynamic. You just want them to hear you. You want to maybe ask you some good questions, like, when did you first feel like that? What do you think triggered that feeling? What is it that you feel in your body? Like, pay attention to where it is in your body, because actually our body is the best indicator of how we feel, because it's our feeling vehicle, right? So talk to someone. I found that being questioned actually really, and I would answer the questions and feel as I was answering it, all of a sudden it was like I'd hit a twang, and the twang sort of indicated to me, oh, that's what it's about. That's like, oh, that's like, yeah, that's exactly what it's about. So that was the second thing I did. And the third thing that I did is I would sit in the feeling and I would ask myself, when did I first feel this feeling? And it may have cropped up last night, say in a conversation with somebody. I'm like, oh, actually, I think that was a result of that. So what happened in that conversation? And it was like, okay, so I'm feeling really unsupported. That word that was used, I actually took that on, and I had a sense of feeling unsupported. And so then when you've identified what you're feeling, then you can actually meet that emotional need for yourself. And this is your superpower. It really is. Because nobody else can meet your emotional needs except for you, because they're inside your body. So, example that I just used. Feeling really unsupported. Oh, okay. So what I need to do to take my power back in this situation is to support myself. How can I support myself? I give myself some love. I validate myself. Why wouldn't that make me feel unsupported? Of course it would. What do I need to do? Do I need to share how I feel with that person? Or do I just need to write it down? Do I need to go and do something nurturing for myself? Whatever I need to do to stand by my own side and support myself in that moment is what I'll do. So that whole process is what I use to allow my emotions to move through my body and not resist or hold on to things, and not to put that, because those feelings that we don't address and that we don't allow just to flow, they stick with us. And the worst thing about that, and I'm speaking from experience, I've worked with so many people's emotional worlds, not only just my own. And I've observed time and time again that these emotions that we don't work with and allow to process at the time they come up, they build up. So it's like a snowball effect. So right now, for example, you might have an interaction with an ex-partner. And it may be a really simple little interaction, and yet you're left with this incredible feeling, which is probably an overreaction to the situation. But that's because every other time that you felt rejected and unsupported in your whole life comes into this moment right now, so that you can see it for what it is and take back your power. They don't go away. They add up. Now, you might go, oh my God, that's a scary thought. And it's a bit scary. I'm sorry I said it like that. I didn't mean to say it like that. I didn't mean to freak you out. But actually, that is a fantastic thing, right? Because now you know. So now you can do something about it. And it's quite easy. It's easy. All you have to do is just allow it to flow. Do what you need to do. to make yourself feel comfortable in that moment and acknowledge and validate that emotion. So I hope that has served you well today. I would love to see you step into your emotional world, and I'd really love some feedback. Let me know how you go. Let me know what challenged you. Let me know what you found confusing. Because if you tell me, then I can share with you the solutions that will really help you move through that. Sending you love for a beautiful day.